you clicked on this video, then you're probably curious about past lives, and you probably want to try to figure out if you have had a past life or maybe several past lives with someone else. In this video, I'm going to share with you the top things that I look for when I'm analyzing a chart between two people to determine if they have quite possibly had a past life or several past lives together. So if you want to find out more about this, then just keep watching. Emma, and I help people live a more mindful and authentically empowered life. On this channel, we talk about astrology, spirituality, and personal development. So if you're interested in any of that, then make sure that you hit the subscribe and bell button so you can join our community and you don't miss any of these videos. Okay, so when I am analyzing a chart between two people, I am looking at what is called a Sinistry chart and a composite chart. A Sinistry chart is when we take two people's birth charts and we layer them on top of each other. And this shows how each person's birth chart is interacting with each other, how their two birth charts are connecting together, and this is going to determine compatibility and what draws them to each other. The composite chart is different from this. The composite chart is a separate third chart that takes the midpoints between both people's birth charts and creates this separate chart that represents the chart of the relationship. So while the Sinistry chart talks about how people come together in the first place, it talks about compatibility, the composite chart speaks of how the relationship functions, how we take the aspects from the Sinistry chart and how these aspects actually play out in real life and what the story is between these two people in their relationship. So both of these charts are important to look at, and I analyze both of them, but I tend to pay more attention to the composite chart because it tells how these people, how the aspects from the Sinistry are actually playing out. Now, all of the placements that I'm talking about in this video are going to be felt strongly in both the Sinistry and composite chart, so you can refer to both of these charts to look at these different aspects that I'm talking about. Okay, the first one that I want to discuss, and one of the first ones that I look for, is any connections from, if we're looking at a Sinistry chart, one person's south node to the other person's personal planets. So the other person's sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, ascendant. This is going to be a strong past life feeling in this pull because the south node represents past lives that a person has had, and the personal planets are where a person feels things the most strongly. And specifically with this one, it's going to be felt the most strong through the moon. So if we see someone's south node conjunct another person's moon, this is going to feel very, very strong. Now, even more so than that, if we see it both ways. So this is more rare, but it is more telling of how strong this connection is. And I've actually had this before with someone, and let me tell you, it is strong. It is a strong, strong feeling of a past life connection. So this is when your moon is conjunct your partner's south node and their moon is conjunct your south node. So this is going to be a strong feeling of having known each other for many past lives and feeling instantly drawn to each other and very, very comfortable. We mostly want to focus on close conjunctions here. So you can feel a strong connection with those harmonious aspects like trines and sextiles, but they're felt the most strong, and I noticed them the most when we're talking about close conjunctions. When we're talking about the composite chart, it's going to be the same. We're going to look for personal planets, the sun, moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, the composite ascendant, conjunct specifically the south node. Now, if this is a romantic relationship, you are, again, it's going to really feel the best if this is the moon conjunct the south node or Venus conjunct the south node. It's going to feel strong. But if we're talking about other, maybe this is a family member or a business partner. You could feel this with many people, but if we're talking about romantic relationships, I find that people love the moon conjunct south node or Venus conjunct south node. It feels the strongest, the most romantic, the most intense. Now, there are a lot of people who say, and to some extent I agree with this, that you should focus more on relationships that have North Node connections, because the North Node represents your destiny in this lifetime and what you should be headed towards in this life. And the South Node represents your past, where you're coming from, things that you're holding on to out of a sense of comfort and familiarity, and that maybe things that you need to release in some way, because you need to try to have this healthy balance between your South Node and your North Node. However, people love South Node connections because it feels comfortable to them. It feels familiar. It feels like they're coming home. It feels like this soulmate connection. So people really like these. This is what feels good. This is what feels like this spark and this intensity and this really unconditional love. The next thing that I look for is mirroring of the nodes, and this is specific to just the Sinistry chart. So what I mean by this is if you have your South Node in a specific sign and house, which is the same as your partner's South Node. So maybe they have the same South Node, the South Node in the same sign, or their South Node in the same house. Or I also look for if there's mirroring, so maybe your South Node is the same as their North Node and their South Node is the same as your North Node. So that mirroring going on, and that in particular is great for compatibility, because it means that what you are bringing forth in this lifetime, what you have learned and where you're coming from in the past, is what your partner is trying to achieve in this lifetime. So what their destiny is in this life. So you can kind of naturally help them in a way, and vice versa. And this goes for any sort of relationship. This goes for friendships, family members. This will help to for the both of you to have this understanding of each other and to feel as though you just get each other and you just know where you're coming from. The third thing that I look for is any connections between the major angles in the chart. So this is going to be the ascendant, descendant axis, or the IC-MC axis. So in the Sinistry chart, if we see one person's IC conjunct the other person's MC, or one person's ascendant conjunct the other person's descendant, this is a strong indicator and the strong connection here. Now, when we also want to think about the nodes too. So if either of the nodes, the South Node or North Node, specifically the South Node though, is conjunct another person's angle. So for example, one person's South Node conjunct the other person's IC, or one person's South Node conjunct the other person's descendant. That is a big one for romantic relationships and feelings there. And then also when we're talking about the composite chart, this is going to be the composite South Node usually conjunct one of these angles. So the composite South Node conjunct the composite ascendant, or the composite South Node conjunct the IC. Any of those angles are going to be felt strongly. If you're confused about any of this, I have links below that you can go to put in your information and this other person's information into a generator so you can have the Sinistry or composite chart pulled up for you. And I recommend using astro.com, but if you don't know how to read the symbols and the wheel yet, then I recommend AstroSeek, because it has everything laid out for you in a written format, so it'll be easier for you to understand if you are a beginner. Now, I hope that this video helped, and I hope that it gave you a little bit more of an understanding and maybe verifies your feelings if you feel like you have this strong connection with someone. Oftentimes, if you do, this is reflected somewhere in the chart. So I want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.